It was supposed to be a straightforward trip. Just a few hours on the road, a quick journey to visit her boyfriend, who had moved for work. But that night, as the rain came down in torrents and visibility dropped, she took a wrong turn. And in the blink of an eye, a swerve to avoid something. A deer, perhaps, or was it someone? Her car slid, tires spinning as she lost control, the world spinning around her until everything went dark. She wakes up, aching, disoriented, and not in her car. She's lying on damp ground at the edge of a narrow road, her car nowhere in sight. She struggles to her feet, looking around. The only thing she sees is an old sign, weathered and barely legible, but just clear enough. Welcome to Morning Hill. The town is silent, blanketed in fog that seems to cling to her as she walks. No people, no lights, just row after row of old crumbling houses, like something out of another time. And then, her gaze shifts up, following the road as it winds its way toward a towering hill at the town's center. At the peak stands a church, massive, ancient, almost impossibly tall, its dark spire piercing the sky. Drawn by an unshakable feeling that the church is the key to understanding where she is, she begins to make her way through the empty streets. As she moves deeper into the town, strange sights start to catch her eye. In one window, an old woman is frozen mid-stitch, repeating the same motion over and over. On a nearby porch, a young man stands, staring blankly at the rain as if waiting for someone who never came. None of them acknowledge her. They're stuck, like scenes in a broken film reel, bound to routines from some forgotten past. She steps closer to one of them, an elderly man seated at a bench, his face locked in a silent scream. She feels an eerie sense of recognition. Why does this feel familiar, she wonders, the question prickling the back of her mind. But then, the atmosphere shifts. She feels it first as a chill down her spine, and then she sees them. Dark, twisted figures lurking in the shadows, just beyond her line of sight. As they emerge, she realizes they're watching her. They seem to embody something deeply unsettling, each one different, each one worse than the last. She sees glimpses of regret, memories, fragments of things she's tried to forget. They're her fears, her regrets, taking shape and watching, judging her. She begins to panic, her breaths coming quicker, her heart pounding in her chest. She stumbles back, nearly losing her footing. But there's something compelling her to press on, something that urges her to climb the hill and reach the church. It's as though every step forward will help her unravel the mystery that holds her here. And perhaps, she thinks, reaching the church will mean freedom. The path up the hill is treacherous, slick with rain and mud. Shadows stretch long and twisted along the ground, shifting with her every step, seeming to stretch out toward her, reaching as if they could pull her back. Every time she glances behind her, the figures are there, and they're getting closer. Finally, she reaches the church. It's massive up close, looming over her with an oppressive presence, its wooden door carved with symbols she doesn't recognize. She hesitates before stepping inside, her hand trembling as she pushes the door open. Inside, the church is dark and cold, lit only by the faint, flickering glow of candles set in wall sconces. Shadows dance along the walls, elongating and twisting as though they have lives of their own. She can hear her own footsteps echo as she approaches the altar, and there, waiting for her, is a figure that, in the dim candlelight, looks hauntingly familiar. She gasps. It's herself. She's looking at a reflection, but not exactly. This version of herself has eyes dark with secrets, a face lined with sorrow and regret. This figure begins to speak, its voice a whisper that fills the empty space. You've come so far, but you know why you're here, don't you? You're here to confront the truth you've tried so hard to bury. She feels a surge of dread as the memories flood back. Memories she had locked away long ago. Choices made, consequences she'd rather forget. And now, here, in this place that feels so real, yet so unreal, she knows she can't run from it any longer. She's reached the end of the line. She steps closer to her reflection, feeling the weight of all the things she's tried to avoid. She knows the choice she has to make, but it's almost unbearable. To face these shadows, to let them consume her, or to find a way to break free. At last, she makes her decision, closing her eyes as she prepares to face her own regrets, to embrace the truth of her past. But then, something unexpected happens. She opens her eyes, and the church is empty. Her reflection, the shadows, all gone. She's alone. She stumbles outside, back onto the wet, misty hilltop, but there's no sign of the path she climbed, no sight of the town below. All around her is only fog, a dense, endless fog. She calls out, but her voice seems to vanish into the mist, and then she hears a faint sound behind her, footsteps getting closer. She turns, heart pounding, but there's nothing there, just the endless mist. She stands there, frozen, wondering if she's free, or if she's only just begun a new loop, trapped in an endless cycle of facing her past without ever truly escaping it. So, dear listener, was she ever truly free? Or has she merely become one of the shadows in Morning Hill, fated to wander this haunted town forever, with the echoes of her past chasing her down every path? Some say, Morning Hill holds the souls of those who can't let go. Others believe it's a place of punishment, a prison for regrets too deep to bear. Whatever it is, if you find yourself there, you may never leave. Because in Morning Hill, the past never dies, and neither will you.